Good morning, everybody. And we're here today with Dr. Vern Kilbourn. Now, Dr. Vern originally was going to tell us a very interesting story that had been relayed to him, and he shared with our Toastmasters group on Tuesday. But I got a call from Doc the other night, and he had an even better idea. So I am so excited and just thrilled to introduce Dr. Vern, and I'll let Dr. Vern introduce our other guest for us. Hi, Doc. How are you today?
Well, good morning, Terry. It's good being with you. The
Always.
gentleman that I have asked to join us this morning is the man that was the participant in this story that he told me. It's his story, so he's the one that should be telling it because he lived it, he knows the details. And above anything else, this is one of the most interesting things that I've come across. I was in the Navy Reserve uh, during part of the Vietnam War. I did not get to Vietnam, but I was assigned to serve on board the USS Ranger. So, in our conversation, when I found out he was a Vietnam veteran, and we found out that at one time each of us had served on the USS Ranger. Then he asked me a question if I knew, and certainly I was interested in a question he had, but he asked me if I knew about the Bonhomme Richards. I said, yes, it dates back to the Revolutionary War. That is that the one you're talking about? And he said, no, it's the one that was named after that was U.S. Navy. And well, there's five of them. There were five vessels that were named the Bonhomme Richards at different times. Well, the one he was talking about was the one that served as an aircraft carrier in the later years of the Second World War. It served during Korea and then Vietnam. But he asked me if I knew why the Bonhomme Richards was named the ghost ship. And I said, well, I don't. I know that it was named the ghost ship, but I don't know why. And so I'm introducing Jerry B., who served on the Bonhomme Richards in Vietnam. So, Jerry, it's your story, and you take it from there.
Good morning, Jerry.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us. I heard Vern relay the story, but I am so excited to hear the details from you.
Well,
So, without further delay, please, why do they call the Bonhomme Richard the ghost ship?
yeah, I'm first gonna correct him on one thing. It's not Bonhomme, it's Bonhomme Richard.
Bonhomme?
Bonhomme Richard is how it's pronounced. And
Bonhomme Richard.
it's French, but yeah, there's been several things that have happened on the Bonhomme Richard, but one thing that really kind of got me was I when I first got in the Navy, I went through boot, of course, like everybody else, and then I got stationed in Memphis, Tennessee, and I went from there uh, to here, to the Bonhomme Richard, and we had an incident. I got my first aircraft assigned to me as I was called a plane captain, and it was 113, which of course is a bad number, 13.
To some.
I was excited about it. And so on this one late afternoon, I was going to post my first flight that my pilot was going to do. So I had to get in and get him ready to go, and we got him on the plane. I thought about this afterwards. I was the last person to talk to him face to face. And I'm kind of giving the story away a little bit, but um, he took off. He had a good strike, from what I understand, uh, but he got hit, and many people didn't know how bad because there was no radio contact, and they were kind of worried about that. Two guys, after he got hit, two guys picked him up and they kind of buddied him back to the ship. They got under his wings and kind of brought him back that way. Uh, Brought him in, they aligned him. He brought the plane down, tried to land it, missed the cable the first time. Now you got to understand this. To accomplish the things he did here, it's hard to understand how this happened. But he had to hit afterburner to come back off the aircraft or off the carrier.
After he missed the cable?
Yeah, after he missed the cable.
And what you're referring to, just for the audience members, the plane has a tail hook.
Yes.
That catches a cable when the plane lands so it doesn't go off the edge of the aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
Right.
And they brought him around again. They picked him up on the other side and carried him around. They were getting ready to rig a barrier, which of course would have stopped any plane. But he was already in line to come in again, so they let him come down, and he got the cable the second time down. I, being very excited and worried that he was hurt, ran to the plane, blew the canopy, and to my surprise, looked at him. I knew instantly he was dead. Half his head was gone. He had really been hit hard. I have no idea how he could have done the things he did, because it's a physical manual thing to ignite the afterburner in the F8.
It's like a gear shift in the plane or something that has to be maneuvered.
You have to push the throttle forward and kick it to the left to ignite it. But I nearly passed out at that point. And from that point on, I didn't know much until later when they said he'd probably been dead from the time he was hit. So how he was able to land the plane, or try to land it, hit afterburner, and not be able to continue it on. It was like I couldn't understand that. But I kind of felt that there was probably Lord's hand in it somewhere.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But even when the buddy planes, the planes on either side caught him under the wings and guided him, there's still a certain amount of maneuvering that the pilot himself has to do to make that landing pattern, correct?
Yeah.
And he did it twice.
So now that's one of the stories of the Von Hammershard and being the ghost ship. There are other situations that have happened on that ship, and I can't divulge them because I have no idea what a lot of them were. So I just know it was.
Why isn't there a whole lot of information? I mean, when Vern first told us about the ship, he was talking to me, and I even suggested a different search engine for him to look. And we both did. I mean, the curiosity got the best of me, but there's just very little out there. He mentions the name, but it usually refers to like the 1856 or something like that ship, the Bonhomme Richard,
Yeah.
from the original one from the Revolutionary War. Anytime you go up to look for, that particular ship, it usually refers you back to the original.
Yeah.
And not to the subsequent ones.
Well, there's some information, but I don't know if that even got really listed as one of them. There's a lot of cover up. You know that.
Yeah.
How the government works, and I don't know why, but
Well, there's just some things that we can't handle.
Yeah.
So you said you nearly passed out at that point, and I'm sorry. That had to be just one of the most shocking experiences of your time. Although through wartime, I'm sure there were quite a lot of shocking experiences for most of you. But did you know, other than meeting that pilot before he took off that day, did you know him? Did you serve together, or how was the arrangement that you and that you the crew and the pilot worked together on board?
Well, yeah, we kind of worked together, but I didn't know any of the pilots very well at all at that time. As time went on, uh, I was given other aircraft, and they were um, given by kind of by merit. You moved up in what you and how you treated things. I worked my way up. I was a long time on aircraft 103, a long time on that one, and then my last cruise, I got uh, uh, 100, which is the CAG bird, which CAG is kind of a special. It's kind of a special thing because if you gained enough prestige through the pilots to get that plane, that's kind of an honor. And I thought that's what I thought from the first. Many years later, I think back on it, and there was a lot of different things that happened in Vietnam that kind of made me question certain things. I think it was a needless war. I really do. We lost a lot of men, and I hated to see that happen. And when we came back the last time, we were not very well received.
Yeah.
We were treated pretty bad. And now it kind of throws me when I'm in, like if I'm in Walmart or something like that, and somebody says, "Thank you for your service." I said, I don't know what to say at times. I'm paying a price for when I served. I was exposed to different things that have caused me many problems. And I'm 100% disabled right now and unable to work. And I don't know. Don't know how it's going to go on. I just have the pride of knowing that I have been with my wife now for 49 and a half years, and we're just 6 months away from the big 5-0.
Oh, congratulations. That's
I
oh.
want to accomplish that. That's something I really want to accomplish. I think my kids have something lined up for us. I don't know.
Well, they better.
Yeah, we walked in on one time and they were talking about something, and it was like all of a sudden it was mom. Everybody shut up.
You just know the subject was you. Well, good. And you live here in Beaver Dam now?
Pardon me?
You live here in Beaver Dam now?
Well, Beaver Dam, Littlefield, yeah. We lived in Littlefield for quite a while, and then we moved over here. We just moved into a new place, and we're really excited about it because we went from a are you ready, an 8 by 34 trailer to a 10 by 70 with additions.
Oh, wow. Most people downsize, you upsized.
Well, we upsized. Started feeling like the walls were closing in around me. So I'm just glad that we've been able to get to this position we're in now.
Well, good. And how long have you been out here in Littlefield?
Well, we've been in between Utah and here, which was St. George or Hurricane. Uh, we've been down here for about 7 years,
Oh, okay.
and I had to get out of the cold. I lived in Montana, and I had to
Oh,
get out of the cold. I was so cold I couldn't even raise my arms, even with my shoulders. So bad. Uh,
our
now,
son,
now I can touch my hands above my head, but warmth, and that helps.
our son was in work, a work program up in Butte, Montana. And the area he was in, it looked like it had at one time been an old army barrack, but it was just surrounded by mountains and trees, and it was all alone by itself. And when it snowed in the winter, he sent us a picture, and my very first and I believe only thought was, thank the Lord I am not there.
Yeah. Oh,
There was a lot of snow. It was terrible. I moved out here from Ohio years ago to avoid that too.
Montana's
So
a beautiful state. I mean, there's a lot of area. We've lived almost across the whole state. I worked that whole state as an insurance agent, and uh, found a lot of interesting people in Montana.
yeah. So when you got out of Vietnam, did you leave the service? You retire from the service, or were
Yeah,
you a career guy?
I had to retire. Again, it was due to the things I was exposed to, um, caused situations, and I had to retire because of it. So
Were you exposed to the Agent Orange and all that, the
yes, I
chemicals?
yes,
Yeah,
and that's what's caused me issues. So
I know many. I know many. So, and was Vietnam, did you enlist or were you drafted into Vietnam or were you already in the service?
I was in boot camp when I got my draft papers.
Oh,
I had already enlisted in the Navy. I figured I wanted to go there instead of be a, as they call it, ground pounder, as an Army individual or as a Navy or as a Marine. Um, it was either there or the Air Force, and I got kind of both ends of it. I first went in. I was going to try to get into the Navy subs, and that changed on me, and so I ended up getting on the aircraft carrier. I went through NATTC in Memphis, Tennessee, which was schooling for structural mechanic on aircraft, and learned a lot of things and did a lot of things that were different than most people, but I had fun doing it.
so how did you transition from becoming an aircraft mechanic to an insurance salesman?
Well, jobs were hard to find when I was looking for them. There
Okay.
was there was purpose and reason behind it, uh, and I'm quite open to things. I'm easy to change. I'm easy to make a change if I have to. So
So when you were first assigned to the Bonhomme Richard, um,
I didn't get
sorry,
good.
when you were first assigned to the Bonhomme Richard, Had you been around boats, water, grown up around it? Was that your first experience in being thrown out into the middle of the ocean?
Yeah, in a big ship. I was born in Olympia, Washington, raised in Spokane. But being from Olympia, we had the bay, and we went out there quite often. Went fishing, but we also went out the ocean a few times. Went fishing out there, but we didn't never on a big ship. You know, I mean, the Bonhammer is a very big ship. Uh, well, you know, you carry a lot of aircraft on board, you're going to be a big ship. But
Right.
I thought it was. I thought at first it was very exciting. Um, Again, as time went, I just tried to improve on my on what I was doing.
So when you, okay, so the pilot lands on the ship, and although you say it's a very large ship, and by rights, I'm sure it is, but planes usually have a very long runway to take off and land on. What is the difference in, say, any regular plane, a 747, as opposed to how much space these fighter jets had to take off and land on?
Well, they have a link when they take off. They're hooked up to a. I'm not quite sure what they call it.
A catapult? Like,
It's basically what it is. It's a
Usually
cable and
usually steam operated.
yeah, steam operated. Yeah, and that thing will get a plane going from zero to off the ship, and which is probably 150 yards maybe, and it'll be at flight speed by the end of that 150 yards. Yeah.
so what does it do? Like a giant rubber band? It just
Yeah.
snaps it.
Yeah. But it'll shoot them off. They'll drop down just a little bit, but they come right back up, and they're going. They're flying away. So I think
Do they?
it's exciting to watch that.
I can imagine. I can imagine. Do they land and take off on the same part of the ship?
Kind of. The ship is not one long ship. It's not only a long ship; it also has a diagonal landing area. That's where the cable runs across. Cables. There are several that they could grab. You know, they could hook several different cables. If they hit wrong, of course, it's going to bounce the tail hook up and it'll miss the cable. And that's what happened on the one I was on. I saw planes crash. Uh, I saw planes. I saw many things happen that were kind of funny and funny, but could have been very serious. And I don't know how the pilot came out of it, but I saw a pilot literally gun his ship or gun his aircraft and just shoot right off the diagonal part of the ship.
What is, I don't understand. What, explain what you mean by gun his aircraft?
Well, he gunned it to start moving. He was going to move. He didn't have his wheels set. He put too much RPM behind the plane, and it went forward fast. And
Oh,
yeah, it, it shouldn't have gone that fast.
did he make it off safely or did he
I don't
stop?
know. I don't know if he came out of it or not. I
Oh.
can't tell you. I have no idea. But he was another squadron, and he just But we had to put a couple ships over the side one time, a couple aircraft, I should say, over the side because we had to get planes coming in, and one of them was coming into a barrier situations. they had just pushed the plane over the side. Yeah. So you're seeing
What?
how during the wartime, how sometimes $1 million plane will go right over the side.
Oh my gosh, without a second thought,
Obviously,
right?
you have to get it off there to get the plane coming in.
How do you push a plane sideways off a boat?
How do you what?
How do you push a plane sideways off a ship?
They're not sideways. Those
Uh,
are chained down to the flight deck, and to the receiving area of the flight deck. And that's how they do it. They move a group of planes from one end of the flight deck, and then they get up on the catapult side and they go off that way. But they taxi them up, and they're taken up to the front, hooked up, and then they're catapulted off the ship.
do you ever count how long it takes for a plane to sink? How many minutes?
Nope.
No.
Well, it can happen pretty fast, especially a plane, because they're pretty open when you're talking like an F8. The intake is at the bottom of the plane, so that's just all wide open area.
Oh, so it just goes down like
You
quick.
have F4s, and they've got two intakes on the side. They'll take water in really fast too. And they call the prop planes, they call them SPADs, and they go down fast. If they're planes that were used in World War II, and some of those are still very usable planes.
Huh. So, is it easy enough for a pilot, say a pilot crashed into the ocean or accidentally missed it and didn't hit that thrust and ended up in the water? I mean, would that pilot have any chance to save his own life? Okay.
Yeah, and they have a chance also getting out quickly too. If they're canopy, all they got to do is get that canopy up, and they really don't even have to do that, because they hit the ejection seat and they can get out of that plane fast.
Okay.
Usually that's about a 3-second run.
So that's really a thing. I mean, you hit a little button and it just like shoots your seat and everything right on the plane.
It's either a handle over your head and you're pulling down
on
the seat that you'll pull up, and so
I guess you got to be really careful that you don't hit that accidentally, huh? If you're a pilot.
You hit it the wrong way.
I guess in some stressful situations that may have happened on a time or two, I would imagine.
I know it has.
Yeah.
I had to help take a bullet out of the ejection section of a seat one time, and it took about 2 hours taking that bullet out, because I was really worried it was going to blow and take me with it.
Oh, wow. Oh, so
I got it out.
So you faced a lot of things. I mean, you caught planes that were destroyed, that came in that were pretty beaten up because they'd been hit and everything. Most planes, after they're hit or something, would you have the welding equipment and everything to repair that, or would you kind of just junk the ship if it was?
We'd repair anything we could.
Yeah.
That was part of my job, was patching holes in the aircraft if they got shot up or whatever. Different things. You got so many different things can go on. Hydraulics can go bad. We had an aircraft one time that and it had been moved from 108 to 113, and when they did, it went in the next day to get ready to launch the aircraft, and it was down to the ground because all the hydraulics had drained, and we don't know why.
There's that 113 again, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. So 113 is not a good number
I
on,
think so.
on
I
huh?
most 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 squadrons try not to run a number 113 if they can.
Well, I know hotel room or hotels, they don't put on a 13th floor. There's no room number 13. A lot of them are real superstitious that way. So I'm very surprised. I mean, I guess 113 would be different than just 13, but even so. So now they're doing it for planes too, trying not to put a number 13 plane on there.
Yeah.
Well, I guess after a couple of incidences, it would make one take sit back and double think that. Yeah. So um, it's absolutely fascinating. Was that like the only experience that you had um, calling it the ghost ship? I mean, you said there are several stories, some that you
Yeah,
can't
but I don't.
repeat.
I didn't. I don't know what they are. There's several that I just don't know. I didn't
Did
know.
those stories come before this incident or
Yeah,
after?
there's one that happened a few years before, where a pilot came in, crashed on the flight deck, and it literally caused the flight deck to almost to burn up. And they had to take the ship to, I guess it was Sasebo, Japan, and have the flight deck repaired. So yeah, there's been several things that have happened in that ship.
So people enlisting into the Navy nowadays, having heard that story, are they suspicious about being stationed on that particular ship, or is that particular ship even still
No, it is not.
in use?
It's razor blades now. They took it to Seattle and took it apart and
Really?
dismantled it. Yeah, dismantled it.
Do you know when?
It's razor blades. Well, it's just out of age. Many years you figure it had in 1943, 44. It was in World War II. You know, and we're in 2000 something now. I don't see a aircraft carrier lasting much longer than that. Maybe the newer ones, the nuclear power carriers now, may last longer. I don't know, but I know there are several. Um, Kitty Hawk, I think, was nuclear powered. Uh, Ronald Reagan, I believe, is nuclear powered. So there's a few that are nuclear powered.
So how did the Bonhomme Richard get its name? What exactly does the Bonhomme Richard mean? Do you
I
know?
really don't know. I
No.
really I never followed. I think it was some great soldier or something or sailor in the many years past in French time, Revolution time, and that name just carried on, and we carried it on. And now they've got. Oh, by the way, I could say too, the JFK is also a nuclear powered ship. I'm trying to think of some of these that I know are, uh, but I know that there are many. We've got. I think we've got more nuclear powered carriers now than we have regular.
What was the power source before nuclear power?
Uh,
Huh?
Diesel fuel, I believe.
Diesel fuel? Okay. Wow, that's a lot of fuel.
It is.
Where did you store all of it? I mean, you're it
They
out
have
in the middle of the ocean forever.
they have many compartments for fuel, for water, for different things.
So the ship appears, I mean, practically for all intents and purposes, it appears pretty flat on the surface. How far below the surface do aircraft carriers go?
Quite a bit. It's at least 90 to 100 feet or better, just to the water from the top of the flight deck.
Really?
Yes. And then I know I tasted the water one time, and that scared me to death. More than anything, it scared me was seeing the dorsal fins in the water after they pulled me out.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought I'm in trouble, and they got
Can you tell us about that story?
no, no,
No.
I won't go into it.
A lot of dorsal fins?
Yeah,
See, that's why my husband doesn't go in the ocean. My husband won't go in the ocean. We're
I
actually taking a trip to California next week, and he says he's still not going in above the knees. So,
well, I have an uncle. I had an uncle, I should say. He's deceased now. Uh, he lost a finger to a what they call a mud shark, which is only about maybe a foot and a half or 2 feet long, maybe max. And you catch a lot of them. That means if you're out fishing, you're going for salmon, you're going to catch mud sharks. And he lost a finger to one because he
oh,
got too close to it, and they bite too.
oh, yeah, well, anything with teeth, I would imagine bites.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why, I don't know. We were down in the Bahamas many, many years ago, and my brother and I were both, about waist deep in the water, and there's a couple of baby barracudas swimming around us.
Yeah.
And at first you know, kind of got a little nervous because, they're little things. Their snouts are only about that big, but they're full of razor sharp little tiny teeth. So they didn't bother us, but you have to think about that. Anything with the potential.
You're right. You were like,
Wow. Um, so how how long were you stationed? You were in the Vietnam War for how many years?
well, I was in the service for a total of right at 7 years.
7. And how many years of that 7 were served on the aircraft carrier?
Uh, about 3 of them.
3. And then what did you do when you weren't on the aircraft carrier?
Well, when I went back, I ended up being in a training squadron in Maryland, California, which was VF 124, and it is now Miramar is now a Marine base, so it's not naval. And, you know, at that time it was naval air.
And then you taught new recruits or new Navy men what your job was, how to do.
Yeah, and we
Okay.
had to pass on our knowledge onto them. So,
And then you were discharged out of California?
yeah.
And why Montana? What made you go to Montana?
I just I got tired of the state of Washington. I mean, I love the state too. I mean, I was born there. I mean, don't take me wrong, uh, but I just got kind of tired of the hustle and bustle of the state. We moved to Idaho for a short period of time, and then we moved from there to Montana. I kind of made that a work thing. I moved there in sales, but not in insurance sales. It was restoration car restoration products sales, and when we got to Montana, I really liked the state of Montana. I like the people there. They're laid back. They're just not they're not overbearing, and that's kind of why I like it down here right now because people here have really been nice.
And how did you meet your lovely bride of nearly 50 years now?
They had been married before. That marriage ended up in a divorce, and some situations that happened through it. But I went home, went back to the state of Washington to be with my mom and dad at the time. And while I was there, she lived across the street from me, across our dirt road that we had in front of our house. And just one thing led to another, and we ended up hitting it off and got married.
Oh,
And I'm thankful for her. She's probably the best thing that's ever happened in my life. I'd probably be dead today if it wasn't for her.
oh. So did she have a career while you
We
during your
yeah,
or
we both worked. I've done many things. I had a service station at one time. Uh, I did that. I just we just got a big wind blow here.
yeah, it is real. I
Yeah,
can hear it blowing out here all along the
but
side.
I drove stock cars for several years. She worked uh, three different types of state jobs, and then she ended up in Montana. She ended up working in driver services for driver's licensing. She
Okay.
failed me on my own driver's test.
Oh no, she didn't.
She
But she did.
I didn't answer the questions right.
Oh my goodness. Were you angry with her?
No, I wasn't angry with her. I understood.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you have to know why you're driving. So,
This is true. Well, it's good to know that she doesn't compromise her standards or her job even for you. So
well, she had
you got
three
some
children.
safe drivers.
Yeah, she had three children to take care of too. We had girl, boy, girl, and I'm very proud of my kids. They're growing up to be very, very. They're all married. We have 9 grandchildren. Uh, I'm just proud of them. And I've got, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I've got a great grandchild coming.
Oh, congratulations. Very nice. Oh, that's great. So do your kids live around here or are they far away from you?
Well, I've got a daughter that lives in Sandy, Utah.
Okay.
And then I've got my other two live in Helena, Montana. And
Uh-huh.
my daughter, she's the first person in charge of government services in Helena. Uh, so she still has to answer to a person in Missoula, I believe it is. But she does quite well. And my son is a contractor, and he's been out on his own now for a few years and doing quite well. And then he at one time worked for one of the biggest contractors in the state of Montana and moved on. And after he moved on, he is now asked by that individual to come and do personal work for him. So my son is very conscientious in his work. My youngest daughter, she lives up in Sandy, and she works. She just got a new job working for a college, and she's doing real good. So,
Well, they're working for a school, then there's a lot of benefits to working for colleges as far as like tuition and breaks and whatnot. So that's my actual my half brother and sister or his wife, sister-in-law, worked for Case Western Reserve University in Ohio, and um, a lot of perks and benefits
yeah.
to working for universities. So smart. It was very smart. So anything else you want to talk to us about? I mean, the story, I just want to get people to understand exactly how difficult or miraculous, I should say, the feat
Yeah.
of that landing was.
Yeah.
Is there
I can't even fathom how it happened. I really can't. Uh,
is
it,
there any way possible that that pilot could have survived the blast, losing?
half his head was gone. The whole right side of his head was gone. I mean, and that
And
means
there's no doubt in your mind that he could have stayed alive for any length of time after the blast.
I don't think so. I don't
No.
know. I don't know. It kind of seems impossible. I do know that right-handed people have left side, their brains on the left side. That's used most. So
Well, I was talking to Vern about this after he had given the speech and told the story. And, we live through frontal lobotomies.
yeah,
You don't have any strong emotions or anything afterward, but you still have perfect brain function. Otherwise, muscle function, memory function, all that. So, I mean, maybe there is a portion of his brain at that particular time that took over, muscle memory, if for nothing else.
yeah.
A pilot has to be very well trained to be able to be assigned that particular type of situation, don't you think?
Yeah, yeah. I would agree to that. He, I do know he was a very nice guy. Just in a very short time I knew him. Very short. Uh, I think it was only the second time I'd ever talked to him, and but he was all the pilots were nice. I only had one that gave me a problem, and that's a different story altogether.
Did you mess with each other?
Huh?
Did you mess with each other a lot?
He kind of messed with me. He was I don't know why. He was just another guy. He came up as a white hat, which is an enlisted guy, and he became a pilot and became a officer. And in the process, if there's anybody out there right now listening, they'll probably know what I'm talking about. If we, so
Were all of the pilots officers?
oh yes, they had to
Yeah.
be. Yeah.
You had to be an officer to be a
Oh yes,
pilot?
yes. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, for some of us who aren't really military savvy, some of that does, I wouldn't know that normally. So, why you couldn't be okay? So, what is considered an officer's rank? Like
Well, you
anything
got a
from
lieutenant.
corporal or?
You got a lieutenant JG. You've got ensign. Ensign's your first line, I think, right off the bat. That's when they go in, and then they come out of training or whatever it is, schooling. They're usually, I think, assigned to being a lieutenant JG, uh, and then I don't know what that stands for, uh, but then they go from that to being a lieutenant, and then it goes up from there.
So enlisted men can rank up to an officer status.
There's actually, uh, well, we can go from E1 to E9, and then you can get, I don't know what they call it, but it'd be a line officer who is usually assigned, and they're usually ones that have been in for many years. And I think there's two grades of that where they can, they're most officers will say yes sir to them because they've been around so long and they're very smart men.
Yeah.
So I met two when I was in, and I thought it was quite unique. They were both nice individuals, but they're more like they're beyond a chief or an E9 chief, which is usually about as high as we're going to go.
So when I was in my 20s and back in the late 80s, I worked at the Navy Finance Center as a armed security guard. Actually, I was a contract guard. I was a civilian, so I never had the military status or anything, but I used to have to sign the officers in and out, and the workers, the employees and everything, so I never really got to know, I mean, we had a list and I would see a military ID, so I never had to like look at their insignia or anything and tell their rank by that. Thank goodness. The military is a little confusing to me, but it was an experience working at the Navy Finance Center that, military is very rigid, extremely rigid. So that was quite different. But I appreciate you coming on and, especially last minute like this and telling everybody the story. That is absolutely, when Vern told it, I was just shocked, and we were on a Zoom call. So we had about 6 or 7 individuals listening to his speech about the Bonhomme Richard, and everybody had pretty much the same reaction. I mean, all of our jaws dropped when Vern told us the end of that story. Kind of a miracle. Absolutely. I mean,
yeah, I believe there was something that he had to bring back. I don't know what it was, but if himself, nothing more.
about how old was he?
I would say he was about 27, 28.
Wow.
He still had a life in front of him, but it wasn't there.
Well, heaven needed him that day.
Mm-hmm.
Heaven needed him badly. Maybe he's up there guiding other pilots to do the same. Thank you. And thank you for your service, your stories, your experience, our safety, and our freedom. And you as well, Vern, although we can't see you because you're a little off camera here.
I'm right here.
We hear you.
He's moving over.
Okay.
On the roll chair here. But it's really amazing to me because I'm a pilot myself, and I know what it takes to land an airplane under the best of circumstances. If there's a windstorm on the land, and for this man to land an aircraft on an aircraft carrier, and what it takes for him to get there is just almost unbelievable. The last cruise that I was on the Ranger, we were just doing carrier quals off the coast of San Diego. And during one night, they were doing night quals. That's the term that they use. We lost 3 aircraft just in one night. And I've always thought it was stupid of the captain to have allowed those maneuvers to go on like that after the first one, and particularly after the second one, and then for it to go a third before he finally wised up and called off the quals. To me, it was stupid.
Yeah, at that point, 3 strikes is way too many.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's like it's like you're taking a big sheet of paper and putting a pin mark in one end. That's what a carrier is. Just a little pin dot.
Yeah.
It's like a postage stamp in the whole ocean.
And as massive as they are, they're still so insignificant in size compared to the area that surrounds them. Yeah. Amazing, amazing, and remarkable. Well, thank you, gentlemen. And, I am embarrassed, but I'm terrible with names. Vern just mentioned it once at the beginning. I'm sorry. What is your name again, sir?
Jerry.
Jerry.
Yes.
And he didn't give your last name, so I assume that you want to keep that anonymous, or?
Well, my last name is B.
Oh, it is just the.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's how it's pronounced.
B.
Yeah.
Like a bumblebee.
Well, it's pronounced that way, but it's
BEA.
No.
No.
Spelled totally different.
I'm sorry.
If you have ever watched Gone with the Wind, think about how Janet Leigh's name is spelled.
Oh, okay. Leigh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Beigh. Okay. Well, Jerry B. I'm just gonna think of bumblebees because, like, you're wearing yellow. It looks like right now. So, it looks like it in my camera anyway. I don't know what color it actually is, but Vern's got some sunshine coming in. So thank you, Jerry and Vern. Again, always a pleasure to have Vern on. It was a special pleasure to have you on today, Jerry, to tell us your story about the Bonhomme Richard, the ghost ship. It is an amazing story, and one that I'm sure probably anybody in the audience who had heard this is going to be looking up. The internet's going to be getting some hits on that ship right now, I bet. So, because I did. I mean, I admit it. Just as soon as I hung up with Vern, I went right to the internet and I was looking for it. So I'm sure there's going to be a few.
Changes. They don't want certain things.
Well, we've all known that. Anybody who's ever heard of Area 51 would believe that.
You got it.
And we have to believe that because of Area 51. So, yeah, the government's not real forthcoming in what they want to tell us. So, but that's them. This is us. We have our own experiences. So, gentlemen, I do wish you a wonderful and happy Friday, a good weekend. I just want to, before we hang up, and so I'm going to make you guys listen too. We got some great things coming up this weekend, guys. We have, don't forget the Preen Your Pet contest. It goes through the 31st of May. That's with the Women's History and Culture Center. $5 entry. Bring your pet down. Take a picture of it in front of the History and Culture Center, and then it'll be put on Facebook. People will vote. But for that $5 entry, you can also pick a space in the calendar to have your pet featured or highlighted a specific day. As Lisa Fahey was talking yesterday, maybe adoption day or birthdays or whatever. So there's that. Tonight we have at the Mesquite Community Theater, they have the concert on the grass, 7:00. Tickets are $10, and bring your own chair and your own beverage and everything. So, and have a good time, enjoy that. Or Family Fun Night is, it's Mesquite Pride Day, Mesquite. It's not really the Family Fun Night, but it is like Heritage Days during Mesquite Days, which we are not holding this year, but they are doing the Family Fun Night portion of it, although it's called something else tonight. But that starts at 5 or 6 o'clock tonight at the Old West Ballfield. They've got the hot dog, corn dog truck's going to be there, other food vendors. They've got bounce houses. They've got the mechanical bull, all kinds of games, nonprofits set up there and everything. Really good time. And last but not least, we've got the Mesquite Car Show Motor Mania that they started pulling in last night, guys. I was out there. They've got some bad, you know what I mean, cars out there. They're looking really good. They were pulling in last night. The parking lot was probably about a quarter of the way full, with some fantastic rides right now, but they'll be pulling in today. The show starts this afternoon and goes through Sunday. Believe it's like noon, 1 o'clock, something like that. Check the calendar. I haven't put one together, but I am telling you, you know, there's a lot going on this weekend. So get out there, enjoy it. It's going to be great weather, albeit a little bit windy today. Hopefully that will be settling down. Okay, so, woo, that was a mouthful. So again, gentlemen, thank you so much. Jerry and Vern, it's always a pleasure. Hopefully, maybe you can think of some other interesting stories that you can share with us, and we can have you back sometime, Jer, if possible. I don't know. I'm sure I live in Beaver Dam too, so I would love to run into you around town here sometime. And Vern, I will be talking to you soon. Of course. We Monday morning. How are you? How you looking Monday morning?
Looks good so far.
Okay, you keep me posted, and right now we'll just put it out there. Unless something comes up, folks, we'll have Dr. Vern back Monday morning to continue on with what he was discussing, and you know, some of the anecdotes from his profession, and maybe some of the best practices for absorbing some of the nutrients that we so lack in today's world. So, and you know, we'll have a little bit more about, you know, what Dr. Vern's going to talk about when I put out the announcement on Monday. I'll let him figure out something that he can share with us. So, thank you, gentlemen. Again, you have a wonderful weekend. Say goodbye to everybody.
Yes. Goodbye, and hang on to your hats.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Are you guys going to hit the car show this weekend at all?
Yes, we will probably drive by at least.
Yeah.
I saw some of the cars going to it. I saw about 8 Corvettes, new.
Oh.
Every one of them were new, and boy, it looked like a race getting ready to happen.
Oh, we saw
St. George yesterday, and they were driving down Bluff Avenue.
Yeah, I took my mother-in-law for an eye doctor. She had an eye procedure done yesterday up in St. George, and we saw them as we were coming back. They were all pulled out. There were a couple of looked like old Chevys, and one Corvette that was pulled off to the side of the road there in the gorge. So I knew they were coming down for the show.
Saw a real nice '57 Chevy, two-door hardtop. Boy, it was beautiful, blue, just beautiful.
Yeah, those old ones. I'm still I am a big fan. My very first car was a 1970 F85 Cutlass. Had 350 rocket barrel engine or 350 rocket engine. It was a great car. I love that car. But my dream car is a 442 convertible.
Yeah.
And I am always just thrilled to death when I run into one of those at any of the car shows. So I'll be out there looking for one of those today, or maybe sometime this weekend, probably not today, but all right, guys, have a great weekend. Maybe we'll see you out at the car show.
Okay, take care.
All right. Bye, Mesquite. Have a great weekend. Peace, love, and happiness to you all.
Yeah. Same to you and all the folks listening.